Well, good morning, hello, and welcome back to another week on my allotment. And it's a beautiful Sunday morning. The air is still, and it looks to be fair for the day, which is nice. You know, the weather continues to occupy our minds. A very, very mild, cold, wet summer doesn't fit all the climate alarmist narratives. It must be gutted for them. And it's strange weather on the plot with fruits and vegetables. I have to say the fruit, as a country, the UK grows only 17% of its own fruit. So anything we can do on our plot, because it's expensive stuff. I'm always amazed at the price of a punnet of blueberries. You know, £2 and probably 3 or 4 mouthfuls. Well, my mouth anyway. So yeah, it's been a strange year. Some things are benefiting, some things aren't. And I've got some big jobs on at the moment. It's the height of summer, so-called. So yeah, you wouldn't be surprised to hear there's things to do. And I'll show you around at some of those things in a moment. I would give you an update on this aspiration, the ambition I and my family have to buy a little bit of land in West Wales. The plan was my daughter would put her flat on the market in February, March, which she did. And when that sold, and we were convinced that would go fairly quickly, because it's in a highly desirable area, we would put ours on the market, and when we were proceedable, we'd go and find ourselves a place and put in an offer. Now, we're not naive. Nothing is ever that simple, and so it's proved to be. My daughter has had one viewing on her flat since March. The estate agents say it's all a bit funny, it's all a bit flat, and her flat is not alone in that. So it's going to delay us, and we planned to put our house on the market in the first week of August. That is now not going to happen because, you know, everything's moved. We can't do anything really until Charlotte accepts an offer on her flat. So, you know, things are delayed, and you know, it's a strange time. Got a new government. They're busy doing some really crazy, stupid things, as we expected they would. So we don't really know how the markets are going to respond. So that's an update. It's all hurry up and wait. And we've got to be patient, which you know is difficult for me. But back to the plot. Yeah, I've got some big jobs on. We are getting some great harvests. You know, despite, I mean, obviously I lost all the broad beans, but the peas are the best I've ever had. You know, so it swings and roundabouts, horses for courses, and I avoid cliches like the plague. So let's have a little look at the jobs I've got today. I have to say, all through luck more than design, this cut flower bed that is not a cut flower bed, with this Verbena bonariensis, it's absolutely stunning. But that has nothing to do with the jobs I've got to do today. Well, this absolute mess is my one last onion bed. And yes, I'm embarrassed to show you it. You know, some of them have gone to seed, others are flopping over, and others haven't moved since October last year. And either way, they're all coming out today. I'll take what I've got. You know, I mean, if anyone can explain why they've been like that, I mean, they were planted as seed, multi-sown seed, in October last year, and it's now, you know, 9 months later, and look at that. They just haven't grown. So yeah, that's one job today. That's the priority, I would guess, is cleaning this bed up and taking what onions I've got. Up the garden centre, working this Thursday, in their free wood pile, which is basically just rotten old pallets usually, there was a load of this very thin ply, sheets and sheets of it. So I stuck them in the van. They took up virtually no room, and this whole path has had that ply put down and then the chippings put on top, and it makes for a very neat effect. And I've got the last 15-20 yards of this path to do today. This is one of my success stories this year. I'm very pleased with how it's gone. this is chard, and this went in when the garlic came out. So it was a crop I sowed in, I think May or April, May, ready to go in when a gap appeared, and it did, and it's in. So I'm very happy with that. And it's exactly the same with this bed here. That's beetroot, and that again was a garlic bed. The garlic has now been harvested, dried, and I cut it and processed it yesterday, and it's now in the garage, ready for use. So, and the beetroot is in and looks very, very healthy. So I've definitely got better at that this year, the second crops, so that beds don't sit idle. This isn't a job specifically for today, but I thought I'd mention it as I'm stood here. I mentioned it in the intro that the peas this year have been by far the best. We now have a freezer almost entirely full of frozen peas. And of course the beauty of growing them on the allotment is that you eat them fresh, sweet, and we have done. I mean, I've been picking them and snacking on them on the plot. When Cheryl sees me processing them in the kitchen, she pinches as many as she can in her hands, and I don't mind that. That's the way to eat them, of course, but we also freeze them and have them for the winter. So very pleased with the peas this year. I think the damp weather has definitely suited them. And if I bring you across, this isn't a success yet. I don't want to count my chickens, but the outdoor tomatoes are very, very verdant, green, lush, and look very healthy. I'm continuing to tie them in, and that's one of the jobs today, is to hoe and weed that bed and start the process slowly of removing the lower leaves and allowing the light and the warmth that there is into the bottom parts of the plants to help with swelling the fruit. I ate my first outdoor tomato yesterday. It was in the back garden. My goodness, what an experience that was. A taste sensation. Another example of a second crop filling a space. These are leeks, and interestingly this week I noticed the first, is it pustules? The first signs of rust. I get rust on my leeks every year. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's not, but it's never ruined the harvest. You might have to peel off a few more layers to get rid of it, but it's not terminal. So I pulled the leaves off that I saw rust on, but I can see more, so so be it. But yeah, very happy with having a second crop in this bed again. So far today, although today's gonna be the first one, I don't have an empty bed, which is really good news. Although thinking about it, that bed that I'm going to empty the onions out of, I've got leeks in the greenhouse at home that could fill that space. And I know the perceived wisdom is, oh, you shouldn't follow alliums with alliums. Well, I watch a lot of Charles Dowding's videos, and he was cropping potatoes yesterday out of a bed that he's cropped potatoes out of for 10 years in a row. So I don't really pay much attention to the crop rotation thing. If you've got a disease, then move the crop, but otherwise it's fine where it is. It's all looking very good. I'm very happy with the way it is at the moment, apart from them blimmin' onions. The butternut squashes are filling the bed. That last little bit of open ground is slowly being covered over. And as I said when I planted the plants themselves, I said it looks silly with these bottles in now, but in a month or two's time you won't see the bottles. Well, they are fast disappearing. Another job for today is the strawberry bed. Now, has it been a success? I'm going to declare it a success. These are all 1-year-old plants. They were all grown from runners last year, so I was never expecting a heavy harvest. And I've made a fundamental error putting them next to this fence, because in the early part of the spring the sun didn't get over that fence, and that bed, or that row of strawberry plants there, never got the sun on their backs. And you know, that's why there's more gaps there. But look, they're overrun with weeds and grass, but we're still cropping. I mean, I can still see red strawberries there. Any strawberry that touches the ground either rots off or is eaten by slugs. And I've tried the straw remedy, but all that happens is the slugs hide in the straw. I didn't find it of any benefit at all. So be it. But that bed's got to be tidied today. Well, as the morning sun spreads its warming rays across my allotment beds, this is the bed of 12 winter squash mashed potato. It was a packet of 12 seeds and they all germinated. However, there's an anomaly. I mean, they couldn't look healthier, the plants. Now, winter squash mashed potato, that's one there, a very young baby winter squash, and that's the shape it will end up, but much, much larger. But if you look here, you see the mottling on the leaves of this one. This one is different. All from the same packet. Look, that is most definitely not a winter squash mashed potato. That is a courgette. Now that's not my doing. Unusually, I didn't mess this up. That is all the seeds, all the plants planted in one bed, and one of them is a courgette. That's happened at the manufacturer's, not on my plot. As it is, I'm very happy with it. We've already had a couple of courgettes off it. But you never know what you're going to get. Well, the pumpkins are starting to grow, but I am just starting to develop a slight worry that we're way behind where we were last year, and indeed most other years. And they're not really. I mean, that's the largest pumpkin I've got at the moment, about half the size of a golf ball. The weather's going to have to really improve, and these plants are going to have to really take off if we're going to get a pumpkin crop this year. I mean, part of my contract here is to give the farm shop, the landowner, 6 pumpkins per plot. So I've got 2 plots. Well, you know, I may not be able to fulfil that this year. We'll see. I mean, hopefully, you know, July, well, what's left of July and August will be really hot and these things will take off. But it's not the case so far. I shall watch that with interest. Well, it takes some time, but that's all the lower leaves off, up to about a height of a foot, side shooted, and some of them, where they've reached the top of their supports, I've chopped them off because they'll only collapse, snap, cause damage, and if they're not formed to flowers on the trusses now, they're not going to, outdoors, they're not going to achieve that, and fruit by the end of the season. Of course, some of them haven't reached the top and they'll continue to grow, but it's a lot neater and tidier. Take the weeds out, stop the competition, move the lower leaves. They're not really getting any sun. That's a lot more light and air in, Keeps the risk of blight down, even though they're all blight resistant varieties. So yeah, happy with that. Well, of course, this is an allotment channel, and I discuss all things allotments. However, from time to time I like to deviate and talk about something else, because the world's an interesting place. And we've just had an election here in the UK. Most of my subscribers are in the UK, but not all. And we've now got a new government, which is going to make change. Change is not always a good thing. Be careful what you wish for. I mean, this net zero thing, you know, the current estimates for the UK to reach net zero is £1,000 billion. Now, the government doesn't have any money. The government takes money from you and me. Well, I haven't got 1,000 billion. But yeah, that's going to be an expensive cock-up. All the while not making any difference to the climate, which is really crazy. I said I wouldn't get political. However, with the recent election, and of course on the British press now, all you hear is, you know, the Labour Party and Keir Starmer's landslide victory. Well, let's have look at a few facts, which I find riveting and frustrating and confusing. Remembering Mark Twain once said, and he's long gone, if voting made any difference, they wouldn't let you do it. Sir, that great Keir Starmer, in 2019, he personally, as an MP, got 36,000 votes. This year, he got 18,000. So he's half as popular as he was 5 years ago. So much for the landslide. This is a really fascinating bit. Reform UK, a brand new party, got 14% of the vote. That's 4 million people, and they got 5 seats. The Liberal Democrats got 12% of the vote. That's 3.5 million. So they get 500,000 votes less than Reform. Reform got 5 seats in the Commons. Lib Dems got 71. Now, nobody can convince me that that is democracy. Now, I'm not saying one party's better than the other. What I'm saying is 4 million voted for one party and 3.5 voted for the other. And the one that got 500,000 less got 71 seats against 5 seats. That's just crazy. Labour got 34% of the vote. So of the people that voted, they got 34%. Actually, 20% of the British public voted Labour in the current, just gone general election. 20%. So that landslide actually is 1 in 5 people in the UK want Keir Starmer as their Prime Minister and Labour to form the government. 1 in 5. That's not a landslide. That's absolutely fascinating. Anyway, mildly, and there's all sorts of other facts there which make it look even crazier, but, you know, politics. Makes you sick, doesn't it, politics? Anyway, I thought it was quite interesting. Yeah, democracy. If voting made any difference, they wouldn't let you do it. Well, that took a couple of hours, but it's a hell of a lot neater. Just got to put the net back over, job done. I have surprise visitors. Someone's come up for a coffee. There you go. Now don't put it in your mouth. Yeah. Oh, stick it up my nose. Yeah. Look, Nanny, I got a flower.
What you got? What you got? Oh, oh, no, not in your mouth. Oh,
No, what did I say? Stick it up Grandad's nose, but don't stick it in your mouth. That's not edible. Can you just introduce what that is?
I think it's cheese and tomato muffin. It's got bits of sweet corn too. Carl made them.
What do you think of that then?
Oh, he's spitting his water out. Let's take that off you. Mmm, that nice. Don't you be sick on camera. Oh.
He really likes that, Carl. Well, he kept it down.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Dropped it.
Well, he did eventually keep Carl's muffin down. He quite enjoyed it, didn't he?
Yeah.
So did we. Well, you've got to try these things, haven't you? Well, that will do nicely. Yeah, extremely proud of that. All high quality. Lovely. Well, it's mid-afternoon. Yeah, I'm done in, as always. Yeah, really, really good day. One of my best. Carl came from Reading this morning early with George. We've got him for the next 3 days while Mum and Dad are busy doing other things, which is always a pleasure. It's an absolute treat. I have to say, you know, as always, Nanny does all the hard graft, and Grandad just sits back and watches. He's not that keen on coming to me, you know. I think it's a man thing. Well, they assure me it is. It's not a granddad thing. But yeah, it's an absolute treat. And they, you know, Cheryl brought him up here as soon as she was ready. So they were here for an hour or two. It was really nice. Had lunch together. Yeah, a real treat. And everything is going well on the plot. I've learned with an allotment to focus on the positives, and there are plenty of them. I mean, you've seen that harvest. How could you not be pleased with that? And some of that's going for a tea tonight, and the rest will get frozen, ready for the winter. The fruit is good, despite the best efforts of the blackbirds, the slugs and the snails, etc., etc. But I got my 3 main jobs done today. The onion bed is now empty. The onions are out here drying. The path is now complete, and the strawberry bed is now weeded, watered, hoed, and looking neat and tidy. So yeah, a really productive day. Managed to get everything done I wanted to, which is rare. I'm not up here much this week because we're babysitting. I've got an extra day off work, which means the other day that Cheryl's got George, I've got twice as much work to do, so I won't get up here till Thursday at the earliest. But everything's fine, and a few weeds won't hurt me or the allotment. So thank you for joining me. Thanks if you've subscribed. Please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever way you fancy. And I shall be around next weekend, I hope. Like I say, thanks for joining me, and I appreciate every view. Until next week, look after yourselves, take care, bye for now.